typically we associate transformation with the word change. And while the two are similar, there are some nuances to them. Hello, and welcome to Enter the Nebula, episode 15. This week, we're going to embark on a new series where we look at different buzzwords used within business and technology and seek to define them and see, as leaders, how can we use them effectively so that people understand what we're talking about and we can achieve the results that we're looking for. Today, I want to talk about the word transformation, which I'm seeing everywhere. I'm seeing it in articles, I'm seeing it in job postings, positions such as like director of transformation or transformation associate. What does that mean? I think as employees or as people, typically we associate transformation with the word change. And while the two are similar, there are some nuances to them. And formally, change is more tactical, really looking at making one thing different. Whereas transformation is more strategic and looking at making something new, changing the way we think about things. And I think that's important. And I think it's important when we talk to groups as leaders to call that out. So, for instance, if I'm a sales leader and I'm talking to a whole group of salespeople and I say, hey, we're going to transform the way we think about sales. That sounds pretty cool. And you may have grabbed the group's attention. But quickly, people are going to start to think, what are you talking about? What does that even mean? And so it's important while we talk in broad strategy type language that we also break down what are we going to focus on? What does that mean? So if we are, again, leaders in front of that sales team and we say, we're going to transform the way we think about sales, quickly pivot to what we're talking about. And that means, hey, we're going to take a look at the processes that we are using, the tools that we're using, the metrics that we're tracking. This will give your team more of a sense of what is going to be transformed. How should they be starting to think? And really, as leaders, we want to make sure that when we're talking to our teams that they understand what we're talking about and that they can be prepared to support whatever transformation initiatives we're looking at. Now, tactically, how do we make transformation initiatives successful? I believe that there's three important principles when going on a transformation journey. And the first, like almost everything, it boils down to discovery and planning. We have to make sure we understand what we're really going to be looking at and have some targeted metrics to measure to make sure it's successful and to make sure that we're focusing on the right strategic principles that we're looking to change. Sticking with the sales analogy, what are we trying to increase revenue? Are we trying to increase new business? What are we looking to achieve in this transformation journey? Are we looking to retain our top talent? All of these things are important to discover and plan before we start. I think there's always this need to move quick or be agile, which is another buzzword that we'll tackle in a subsequent newsletter. But we have to take our time. And that doesn't mean to slow things down, but it means that we do our due diligence to appropriately plan for whatever transformation activity we're going to be embarking on. And the second is change management. Transformation is made up of lots of different changes and probably multiple different projects that will ultimately land you where you want to be strategically and shift that way of thinking. But you need to do the appropriate change management. It means talking to people, listening and understanding what kind of downstream impacts can happen, or what other teams could be impacted from this transformation and keeping them in mind and explaining the benefits to gain buy-in from all of the affected parties. It also means having a change champion group, because any kind of transformation or change effort is going to come with some detraction. Change is scary. People can be adverse to change. And by having change champions, you can cut down on negative back channel conversations or water cooler conversations that can derail a transformation effort because people aren't necessarily bought in. So you want to make sure they're bought in, and change management's the way to go. Finally, look at a way to govern and control your new way of doing things, whether it's a new way of thinking, whether it's a new process, whether it's utilizing a new tool. You want to make sure that there's some kind of governance control around these transformation efforts so that your metrics mean something. What you don't want to do is have a data point that you're comparing to a new data point, but the new data point's not real because only half the people are using the new process. And part of those data points can be adoption rates, right? 60% of the adoption by this date, 80% adoption by this date, 100% adoption by this date. You can work up to that level of transformation over time. And it's important to meet your culture where they are. Understand where people are, where your company is, and what the appetite is for change, and make the timing so that it fits. If you take a look at all these things, plan appropriately, put a change process in place, and have the right governance and controls, you're going to find that your transformation efforts are far more successful. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can read the full article on our website, intellectualnebula.com. You can also get in touch with me to see how I can help your organization as either a fractional resource or a full-time resource, as I'm still looking for that next step in my career. We're also on all of the social medias, so I'd appreciate all the likes and subscriptions on all the platforms as we continue to grow our brand. I wish you all a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.